Welcome back. So for this session, we're going to actually focus on, of course, writing lyrics. We're going to start with the way that I do it. So my method is, I guess, pretty old school. It's basically a sheet of paper, usually, although these days I use Google Docs, as you'll see in a second. But it's just much easier. Well, arguably easier, because it depends on your setup. So a piece of paper and a pencil is, not always ideal unless you have like a hard surface to write on, and it can get messy, right? So, but there's something to be said about writing, actually writing, doing that motion. Anyhow, it's not really important how you do this. But for me, what I usually do is I'll have my melodic line, I'll have my chord structure, obviously, my harmony, I'll have my melodic line. Structurally, I know what I'm doing. I know, obviously it's all gibberish at that point before we write the lyrics. But you see, with the gibberish, I've worked out, obviously, what the song is going to sound like. Right? So I've been mucking around with this tune over here, just something I came up with quick, just so we can actually sample this style of writing lyrics, okay? So it's in the key of G, right? It's all gibberish, and we're just gonna do like the verses. We're not gonna worry about the whole complete song, otherwise we'll probably be here for at least an hour, maybe more, maybe a week. Because really, that's the thing with lyrics, okay? They could come out quick, but they could take a while, especially if it's something that's very meaningful to you, something that means a lot to you, and it's like really, you feel, you want to communicate something precisely, exactly the way you want to, or you're writing for a person, and you want to communicate this to, your significant other, or whoever that may be. It's a big deal. Like, I've written a few songs for people, of course, and for my daughter, and I spend a lot of time on those lyrics because I want them to be just right. I want to communicate, every line has to be, perfect. So, but look, it all depends, right? So it doesn't matter, but this is the way I do it, okay? So this is in the key of G, all right? And it goes like this. Coming all around me, can't you see? Riding all the baby, now I feel you on my wheel. Telling me the weight is coming back. I haven't really even worked it out, okay, properly, the whole structure of it. It's not a complete song, okay, but it's just, we'll work on that, okay, just a section, just so you can see how I do it, okay? So let's minimize this. Okay, minimize this and bring over Google Docs, okay? So I love this, okay? The reason I love it is because it's online, okay? It's on a drive. I don't have to worry about backing it up, although I still do backups. So should you, believe me, you never know. I've never had any problems with Google Drive so far, but knock on wood, but you never know, okay? So always back up, always have at least 2 backups. That's usually the rule of thumb. But here we have Google Docs, okay? And it's just a blank sheet, okay? And this is basically replacing a sheet of paper and a pencil or pen that you would normally use, that I always used to use. If you see some of my old songs, it's just all, by hand, right? So, but anyway, we got technology now, okay? So we have a song here that is, there's no title, there's no nothing, there's no words, there's no nothing, and we're starting fresh. I have not written a word of this song. I just wrote the melody about, 10 minutes ago, just mucking around with it, okay? So there's no words, there's no nothing. This is in real time what happens when I write lyrics, okay? So, let's see what happens. Okay, sometimes it comes quick, sometimes it takes a while, all right? Now, I have no preconceived idea of what I want the song to be about. I don't know. It could be about whatever. What I like to do is just, with the gibberish, start to form ideas and start to form words. And now that I have my basic structure and my basic melody in place, my melodic line, now I can, again, it's almost like using your tools again and not worrying about them. So I've established my harmony, I've established my chord progression, I've established my melodic line. Now I don't have to worry about those anymore, at least until I get to the bridge and chorus and stuff, right? Because I've only done the verses. Normally I would write the whole thing in gibberish. Verses, bridge, chorus, pre-chorus, whatever is involved structurally in that song. I would normally write the whole thing, the whole melodic line, work out the whole harmony before I start to write even one word. Unless in the process of doing that, words come out. More often than not, that's the case, okay? Because you're working on a song, you're working on it structurally, and then your gibberish starts to take form after a while, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's try and do this here. So it's gibberish right now, right? Riding on my baby, don't you cry. Okay, doesn't mean anything. Coming all around me, baby, I can see you fly. I can see you fly. That's a potential. Anytime I have a potential, we write it down, okay? I can see you fly, okay? That's a potential. Doesn't mean anything, it's nowhere right now, okay? Walking on around the corner now. Nah, but walking I don't mind, okay? Walking is not bad. Walking somewhere, okay? We could start it that way. Remember, this is a story, okay? But again, remember that it doesn't necessarily have to make 100% sense. Okay, it's almost like, think about like abstract art, okay? You could make your own sense of it. And sometimes when you have lyrics that are ambiguous, it can work also because the other person is going to put his own meaning into it, okay? But anyhow, all right, so walking, right? Walking on around, walking down the road, I see you smile. Yeah. We'll put it down, but I'm not convinced. Down the road, I see you smile. Okay. All right. Ideas, right? We're putting them down. Walking down the road, I feel you. I feel you now. I think of a time. Walking down the road. I got an image, I got a picture in my mind where I'm walking down the road in the middle of the night. By the way, this is not a personal experience, right? So I'm just writing for someone else or for whatever, just making up a story right now. I'm not taking any personal, not writing about anything personal, which of course you can, right? But there's no rules here, right? You can write about whatever you want. But I'm imagining someone in the middle of the night walking down the road and he remembers like a long lost love or something, right? Walking down the road, I feel you, or I see something that reminds me of her. Walking down the road, I see a sign. I see a sign, okay? That's not bad. Now, I put this in parentheses because it's not really gonna work. I see a sign I like, okay? We'll leave that like that. Okay? Walking down the road, I see a sign. And I can still remember. I can still remember. Remember, and I can still remember when we lost the night we had a fight. That time we had a fight. Potentially. Still remember the time we had a fight. that time we had a fight. Potentially. Not too thrilled with that one, but and I can still remember that time we had a fight. What love I'm waiting on me now. And that's pretty much structurally, excuse me. So structurally, it's I sort of had walking down the road, I see a sign. A sign is it's a bit too ambiguous. Again, that could be a good thing. Okay. I love that chord. Okay. So I'll do that as well. I'll noodle around on the guitar when I'm, it's just stuck, just working out ideas, right? So we'll try and fast forward this. Maybe I'll chop it up just so you guys don't have to sit here for hours, because this could take a while, right? So, but this is the gist of it. This is basically what I do, okay? So we have walking down the road, I see a sign. I can still remember the time we had a fight. Baby, don't you wanna love me now? Roll over night, it's still with me every night. Yeah. The structural, you see, and that's why it's so important to work out structure first. Okay, work out what you're doing. Understand your chord formation, your bridge, whatever structure your song has. Okay, and your melodic line. So I'm not fumbling, because now I'm being sidetracked. Instead of focusing on the lyrics, I'm focusing on structure, right? So that's the whole point of having all that down first. Okay, for me anyway, that's what works best for me. So let's work at that structure quick. Walking down the road, I see a sign. I can still remember the time we had that fight. Well, my baby, don't you cry. That's not bad, that's all right. And I remember saying, baby, don't you cry. Okay. Let's see. Take ideas out of here. Okay. Put them down here. This to put it here. And what you can do is do this, change the color to red, whatever, okay? So they're just ideas. And here we have something that could potentially work, okay? Okay, so let's try this, all right? Potentially our first verse. Walking down the road, I see a sign. And I can still remember the time we had a fight. I remember saying, and I remember saying, baby, don't you cry. And I remember saying, so you gotta work out your syllables, yeah? And I remember saying, don't you cry. It's weak, okay? It's not a powerful lyric. Probably not something I would go with. I'd go with some bits of it, right? But that is the gist of this writing style, okay? So it's basically starting with a blank sheet, putting down some ideas, working with the gibberish, seeing if anything comes up, figuring out if this is a song that you want to write for somebody. You know, if this is personal, you're going to have a lot more material to work with. Like, for example, I wrote a song for my brother when he got married, right? Him and my sister-in-law. So I had both of them send me things they love about each other. Okay? They're you know, like top 10 things that they love about each other, and they sent them to me, and I worked with that. I did it as a duet. Okay, so I sang it, I produced the whole thing, and I hired somebody to sing the vocal lead for the female. So it was a female and a male going back and forth, which is pretty cool. But I used I wrote it from their perspective. So when I was singing, it was like it was my brother, and when the girl was singing, it was like my sister-in-law, right? Pretty cool, but that took a long time. Why? Because I wanted it to be perfect. They played it on their wedding day. Right? It had to ring true to them. It had to be, you know, there couldn't be any mistake about it, right? Couldn't be like, you know? So that's a different thing, and that's a different story. But when you're writing over here like this, and I've written many songs like this, where it's just out of the blue, just complete whatever, okay? It's, you know, there's not a lot of rules. You could just sit here and see what comes up, you know? So like I said, you know, with more time, and obviously, you know, we're going, it's, you know, time is past. I don't want to have these videos too long, especially when I'm working on ideas like this. It's just, it can be, you know, it could take a while. Okay, it's hard to predict. So we'll leave it at that. And that's basically it for this one. That's the way I do it. This is the way I like to write. But I do it in every way. There's other methods as well. In the next lesson, we're going to look at the way Bowie used to write. David Bowie. And it wasn't just David Bowie, by the way. A lot of people think that he sort of pioneered that method, but not really. There's others that have used it before him and, of course, afterwards. But David Bowie, I guess, made it really, really famous among songwriters because he used this technique a lot. This is called the cut-up technique. Okay? Very, very cool. Amazing. I've tried it. I've used it myself. I've used a lot of different techniques. So we're going to cover all these and see which one you like best. But don't ever pick just one, you know, I mean, use whatever you've got. Use the whole toolbox. When you're stuck in one method, use another one. And that's why with melodic lines as well, in the previous module, we did that, right? We have 3 distinct ways of writing melodic lines. But obviously, there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, okay? So whatever works best for you, but don't ever discount other methods. That's why we're covering a bunch of different ones here, okay? So in the next one, we're going to look at the cut-up technique by David Bowie, made famous by David Bowie. Okay? I'll see you there.